Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're absolutely tearing down a myth that, let's face it, most of us have been spoon-fed since childhood. The idea that if you just climb the corporate ladder, put in those endless hours of overtime, and snag a massive salary, you're guaranteed true wealth. Well, I'm here to tell you, it just isn't true. Relying solely on your salary is actually a fundamental trap. We're going to look really closely at the hidden truths of wealth, work, and why your income absolutely does not dictate your financial freedom. Okay, let's jump right into this. 2 million pounds. Over the course of a typical working life, the average person is going to earn over 2 million pounds. Just let that massive number sink in for a second, right? It sounds like an absolute fortune, doesn't it? Like you should be living incredibly comfortably by the end of it, with plenty of cash to spare for literally whatever kind of lifestyle you want. But here's the incredibly jarring reality. Despite literally millions of pounds passing through their bank accounts over the decades, most people end up retiring with less than 300 grand to show for a lifetime of 40-hour weeks, those endless commutes, and all that daily stress. The vast majority of that 2 million just completely vanishes. Poof. And if you're sitting there thinking the solution is just, negotiating a bigger salary or working even more hours, well, I'm going to show you exactly why that isn't necessarily the case. Section 1. The Great Salary Illusion. Income isn't wealth, but millions fall right into the trap. This brings us to a really fascinating paradox, the modern high earner. We've got to unpack this illusion that a huge income automatically equals actual wealth. It's a trap, and it's so perfectly disguised as success that incredibly smart people fall into it every single day. Look, you hear these stories, right? People earning 150,000 pounds a year, living in a major city like London, and yet they feel completely broke. They walk into Waitrose, accidentally make eye contact with some organic avocados and a sourdough loaf, and boom, 50 quid is just gone on a basic meal. They're literally forcing themselves to cancel gym memberships. They are, unbelievably, living completely paycheck to paycheck and can barely save a penny. On paper, these folks have done everything right. They studied hard, they climbed the ranks, they secured that six-figure bag, but they're still totally trapped in the relentless daily grind. We actually have a term for this. It's what we clinically define as being functionally broke. Basically, it means you're living paycheck to paycheck, probably drowning in huge lifestyle debts, massive mortgages, heavy car payments, all despite having a fantastic income. You're sitting just one single redundancy or maybe one unexpected illness away from severe financial trouble. The reality is, earning six figures doesn't protect you at all if your entire financial architecture is just built on a house of cards. That high salary, it's really just masking the fragility of the whole situation. So why does this happen so frequently? Well, it all comes down to the vicious cycle of lifestyle creep. Think about it. You get a promotion or a pay rise. Boom, your spending goes right up alongside it. You buy a bigger house or a fancier flat. You upgrade to a newer car on finance. You start taking those five-star holidays instead of the three-star ones because, hey, you've earned the experience, right? But here's the brutal result of constantly upgrading your life to match your paycheck. 5 years later, you might be earning 30% more, but your net worth, your actual wealth and financial security has barely moved an inch. Section 2. The Autonomous Asset Paradigm. This is the secret weapon of the wealthy. So if a massive salary isn't the answer, what is? Well, it all comes down to this stark contrast between salary and assets. This is exactly how the wealthy escape the matrix of the daily grind. See, your salary gives you the illusion of wealth. When it lands in your account at the end of the month, you feel rich. But really, it's just the proceeds of an agreement. You trade your precious time and energy, and you get paid. The very second you stop showing up, maybe due to a layoff, getting sick, or simply wanting to retire, that money instantly stops dead in its tracks. Assets, on the other hand, they're completely autonomous. We're talking about a well-managed pension, a robust ISA, an index fund, property. These things compound and grow in the background, whether you're grinding away at the office, relaxing on a beach, or stuck in bed with the flu. They absolutely do not need you to clock in to generate value. Let's zoom out a bit and look at the macro data for the UK to see exactly what this wealth gap really looks like in practice. Right now, a typical UK household has a net worth of around £294,000. And remember, that includes everything: home equity, pensions, savings, the whole shebang combined. Now, to break into the top 10% of wealth, you need a net worth of roughly £1.2 million. And to hit that super elite top 1%, you're looking at about $2.9 million. Now, culturally, we often view £1 million as this insurmountable mountain, right? Whereas in places like the US, it's increasingly just seen as the starting block for retirement. But getting to that 1.2 million, really breaking into that top 10%, is simply not going to happen by furiously saving the leftovers from your monthly salary. Let's pull back the curtain and look at the actual blueprint of that top 10%. Based on ONS data, look at the breakdown of where their money actually lives. 43% of their wealth is sitting directly in pensions and investments. Another 31% is locked up in property. That means over 70% of their total wealth is parked in autonomous assets. It's not their active salary. It's entirely made up of things that are growing completely on their own, independent of their daily labor. The wealthy don't just rely on what they earn, their entire focus is on what they own. Section 3, the multi-millionaire janitor. Let's look at Ronald Read's incredible story. This brings us to what I think is the ultimate real-world proof that financial structure and ownership will always beat a high salary. This is the timeline of a man named Ronald Read. Ronald spent 25 years of his life working as a humble gas station attendant in Vermont. After that, he spent another 17 years working as a part-time janitor at a JCPenney department store. He lived a completely modest working-class life. He drove an old car, wore very simple clothes, and was nowhere remotely near the top earners in the country. He eventually passed away in 2014 at the grand age of 92. But what made Ronald absolutely legendary were his tactics. He took those incredibly modest gas station and janitor wages and relentlessly converted every single spare dollar he could find into shares. And he didn't do anything crazy. He didn't chase wild, speculative trends. He simply bought companies he fundamentally understood and used every day. We're talking blue-chip names like Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, and JP Morgan. He held onto those assets for years, decades even, quietly and patiently reinvesting the dividends. He completely shifted his life's equation. He didn't just earn, he owned. And because he made that crucial shift in mindset from earning to owning autonomous assets, when his will was read, it revealed a staggering final net worth of $8 million. $8 million. He actually left the vast majority of it to local hospitals and libraries in his community, which is amazing. But Ronald Read is undeniable mathematical proof that it is not what you earn, it is what you spend 30 years owning that matters the absolute most. Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking right now. Our current economic climate feels incredibly hostile. Looking ahead to the next few years, we are facing undeniably high taxes, a rapidly rising cost of living that literally seems to eat up every single pay bump, and wages that, generally speaking, remain pretty stagnant across the board. These are incredibly legitimate, highly stressful concerns. But honestly, that is the exact reason you need to build your own safety net and be even more on the ball today. Because the hard truth is this: no one is coming to save us. No one is going to build this autonomous structure for you. The responsibility to survive and flourish financially, that rests entirely on our own shoulders. Section 4, confronting your wealth gap. It's time to find your starting point. So how do we actually take responsibility and build that bridge to escape the earning trap? Well, you can't hit a target if you don't know where you're starting from, right? Here is the fundamental exercise of true financial goal setting. Step 1, acknowledge your current yearly salary, but know that it's just the fuel, not the final destination. Step 2, tally up what you actually own. Calculate your property equity, your pension pots, your ISAs, and any ordinary savings you have lying around. Step 3, compare that total net worth against that £1.2 million top 10% benchmark we talked about. Find your gap. Whether you're 40% of the way there or just 5% of the way there, seeing those raw, unedited numbers allows you to align your mind, change your daily habits, and build a system that shifts you from just bringing in a paycheck to acquiring compounding assets. And that leaves us with the ultimate question, really the only one that dictates your financial future. When you wake up tomorrow and go to work, are you doing it just to fund your current lifestyle, to buy the next avocado toast or lease that newer car? Or are you building a machine that works for you? Will you spend the next 30 years merely earning, or will you spend it owning? Think about it.